And we are live. Hey there, welcome to the Startup Tank, the Climate Investor Pitch Show. If this is your first time, I'm your host, Matt Ward, and well, we're the Startup Tank. We bring on the world's best and most interesting climate companies to get them some exposure, coverage, and venture capital, because funding the future is really what we all need now. At Forward VC, we run our early stage climate accelerator. We call it the Partner in Crime program because, well, climate companies, they need a partner in crime. They need someone to help them grow and scale. To learn more about us, how we bring in companies and help them get 2 to 5 new major customers, pilots, and some serious traction, so they're 10, 20, 30 steps forward after going through the program, as opposed to the kind of genericness of founder friendly or et cetera, that are kind of buzzwords in the industry, check out forward.vc, the number forward.vc. We invest in companies that move the world forward and also have an investor syndicate to invest alongside the accelerator. And if this is your first time, this is the Startup Tank. You can apply, subscribe, etc. at thestartuptank.com. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're on LinkedIn, do likewise. Wherever you are, you can probably find us there. And now in this episode, we've got 6 incredible companies and three pretty cool panelists on board. But before we jump into them, I just wanted to let you know that the Startup Tank and everything we do is brought to you guys by Valbon by Carta, the easiest, simplest, and most kind of legitimate way to set up SPVs. I invested in Scheer a while back. Scheer managed to go bust somehow. Not sure how that happened. Long story short, Carta by Valbon by Carta is really your best option. If you're a capital allocator, if you're setting up syndicates, running SPVs, doing venture investments, or startup raising money yourself and want to set up an SPV for friends and family, Valbon may be the way to do it. Forward.vc/Carta, that's CARTA, forward, the number forward, i.e. we invest in companies that move the world forward, like the folks we got here today. And we'll give you an intro and a round out of them in a sec. But first, I'd love to introduce our other investor panelists. So I'm going to bring them in now. Armin, do you want to take things away and tell us a little bit more about SET?
Yeah, sure. So SET stands for Sustainable Energy Technology. We are VC based in Amsterdam, and we're investing in the space since 2007. So currently we are managing 3 funds, and all of them focusing on bringing the energy transition to the next level. And we focus on digital technologies to leverage that. So yeah, another aspect which I want to highlight here is that impact is a crucial component of our investment strategy. So we really take it serious to make a sustainable impact on our world that we have.
And then how about Excelerator? You want to share a little bit more, Gabriel, and what you guys are doing at Excelerator?
Actually, it's Elemental Accelerator.
Accelerator. Good call.
It's all good. We're a Honolulu-based climate tech accelerator focused on both climate tech startups and traditionally excluded founders. We've been operating since 2009, have about 150 portfolio companies spread all over the world, and very excited to get to hear what folks are up to today. I lead our mobility and energy portfolio, so I have particular expertise in those spaces, but we invest across mobility, energy, industrial or circular economy, water, food and agriculture, and then carbon-based solutions. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for coming. And David, Social Wealth Partners.
Hello, everyone. Social Wealth Partners has been around since 2001. We've been an impact fund since that long. Now in the future, and lately, we've been investing a lot more in climate and health tech. Impact has always been a part of our strategy and partnerships. We like to lead forward with value adding. But yeah, I'm really glad to be here.
And at Forward VC, we invest in pre-seed and seed climate companies in Europe, North America, and Israel. We like to invest in, I like to say, crazy ass founders solving big, dirty, ugly problems to make the world a better place. For more information about us and what we do, forward.vc. But this isn't really about us. This isn't about the investors. These are about the companies that are changing the future. We're here to help. And to do that, every company here, they'll get 5 minutes to pitch in front of our esteemed panel. We've got 4 panelists. Hopefully we'll be able to come to a conclusion at the end of the night. And that's when we'll crown our startup of the night, the company that we find is the most influential, impactful, most interesting from a VC perspective, would want to set up meetings, invest in, etc. Every company gets 5 minutes, very strict 5 minutes with a gong, and then about 10 minutes or so of Q&A. If you're watching and tuning in, you can, of course, add your questions, etc. on YouTube. It's just thestartuptank.com/YouTube. It'll bring you to the live page. You can put questions, etc. in there, or apply for one of our upcoming sessions of the Startup Tank. We do this every 2 weeks, which means our next episode is February 6th and then February 20th. If you want to subscribe or apply, thestartuptank.com. But now, without further ado, how about we kick things over to our first company of the night. Gail, you were one of the first. And I think we can let Ethosa take things away. Waterless, refillable, plant-based personal care. You want to share what you guys are doing to make the world a little bit cleaner and also a little bit more hygienic, so to speak?
Happy to. Yeah. Nice to meet you, everyone. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. And hopefully you can see it okay. Just give me 1 second.
Looks good.
There we go. Can you all see my screen?
We got it. Your 5 minutes starts now. Take it away.
Perfect. I have some ugly news. On average, every UK household sends 851 single-use plastic bottles every year to landfills and ocean. I'm only speaking about plastic bathroom plastic. Sorry, can I start again?
We'll give you a mulligan on that one.
I had sorry, let me start again. I have some ugly news. On average, every UK household sends 851 single-use plastic bottles to oceans and landfills every year. I'm only speaking about plastic bathroom. Yes, that's a lot of plastic. And you may wonder why. Simply because of the way products have been manufactured for decades. Let's take a look at your standard shower gel, for example. You literally buy 95% water packaged in single-use plastic packaging. I'm sure you will agree with me. This does not make sense and never did. But it's not all doom and gloom. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Ethosa, the solution to end the pointless shipping of water and ditch single-use plastic. Ethosa, a waterless, refillable personal care solution. With our product, you turn your tap water within seconds into a full bottle of body wash, simply by mixing it together with our shower powder. It's that simple. And waterless is the only way to go in the personal care industry. It's a solution that enables to solve multiple problems at a time. Reduction of CO2 emissions, no single-use plastic is needed, no harsh ingredients are required. It's a market that's already worth $8.5 billion and that's growing by 10.6% year on year. And our tailored approach gives us a real edge. The one-size-fits-all way is not for us. We design and develop products that are inclusive of all body skin types and scent preferences. A first in the waterless shower gel category. These products are to launch in March 2023, and the body wash is only the first of many products we have in our pipeline. Over the last couple of months, we've been testing the market with our product prototype, which we sell on our D2C website through a subscription model and on Amazon UK. We've also been selected to attend the first ever Amazon Sustainability Accelerator a couple of months ago in 2022. Our revolutionary concept and products have also been awarded multiple times and featured in the national press in the UK. Plus, our significant impact on the environment has already been validated and judged significant by the European body EIT ClimateKick. My co-founder and I have combined backgrounds in consumer market research, e-commerce, and logistics, and we're surrounded by a fantastic team of partners and advisors. And that's not all. We are not stopping there. Together with our manufacturing partner, we've built a robust supply chain, which is enabling us to prepare our entry not only to mass retail, but to hospitality, the industry that inspired this whole concept. Those plastic toiletries, which you can see on the screen, whether they're small or big, filled with 95% water, we will put an end to them. We're already in discussion with some hotel chains to conduct early trials, and the opportunity is gigantic. Today is the opportunity to join us, join the revolution, and make a concrete positive impact on the planet by revolutionizing the way we're doing things in the personal care industry. Thank you.
Awesome. Is that the end?
Yes.
Okay. Well, one quick question while I bring the other panelists in. What's the ask? What are you guys raising money? Where are you guys at stage-wise?
We are indeed raising money. We are in our seed round. We are raising £600,000 in total. To date, we've already raised £160,000, and we're still obviously actively looking for funds. We're looking to close it as early as possible. And for UK investors, which might be in the room, we also have some SEIS and EIS tax relief allowance available.
And one quick question before I hand things over. Why did you guys decide to go the D2C route? Amazon's not necessarily known as the most sustainable or environmentally friendly business out there.
That's an excellent question. Actually, we did not consider Amazon at all as a route to market when we brought our product prototype to market. But Amazon launched their first ever, as I mentioned, sustainability accelerator a couple of months ago. And this is how we got closer to all the sustainable goals that Amazon has fixed as a company and everything that they're doing, and notably within the startup space to support sustainable startups. And as part of the accelerator, we got the chance to start selling on the Amazon Launchpad, which is the area reserved to startup. And we also got some early benefits, such as ad credits and different other things, which made it quite interesting to us to explore this route to market.
Awesome. Then I would kick things over to David with Social Wealth. You want to take it away?
Of course, thank you. Yeah, it's just first question I have is just like, what are the 3 things that you guys are looking to accomplish by end of next year, or by the end of this year? Sorry, we're already in January.
Yes, so as I said, we are launching our full body wash range in March. Production is on track, so product hopefully should be there. The big goals for this year are to enter 1 mass retailer in the UK. We're actively working on our strategy with one of our advisors who is specialized in the retail space. And the one we have identified, if you're familiar at all with retailers in the UK, is Holland & Barrett, which has a very sustainable and relevant audience for us. So it will enable us to reach mass and raise awareness around our concept and our brands. We're also looking, obviously, to accelerate growth on our D2C website. As I mentioned earlier, we started selling our product prototype on a subscription basis on our site just a few months ago. And we're already seeing that it represents 25% of our sales. So we're looking to boost that and also increase loyalty. And I would say the last goal, as I mentioned, hospitality is also another route to market. And this is something we're also actively exploring with a slightly different product format. So by the end of the year, we would also be in a position, would like to be in a position where we can start piloting with the hotel chains we are in conversation with at the moment.
Thank you very much. I did just have like a small follow-up question before I hop on it to someone else.
Course.
Do you guys currently have any letters of intent with any of the businesses at the moment?
As in, sorry, I missed the end of the
like
question.
letters of intent with either any of the hotels or any other sort of B2B businesses?
So not as of now. As I said, this is something that we're discussing. So we have a couple of conversations in parallel. However, it would be quite a big investment to run a pilot. So we want to make sure that we select the right partner to do that. And this is the reason why we're conducting different interviews. And once we are happy with one hotel chain on various levels, we will be looking at signing a letter of intent, but not as of now. It's still early days.
Got a quick question on the sort of defensibility of what you're doing. How unique is the powder? Is that something you've created out of unique IP, or is it something that someone else could easily pick up and do? Can you speak to that a little?
Yeah, sure. So our brand is trademarked in the UK and the European Union. When it comes to our formulas, we developed and are owning them. They are unique as of now. However, the powder itself is not protectable by a patent. So technically, other companies could go and create a powder. However, as I said, the formulas do belong to us. And as of now, we're the only brand in the UK who is offering a tailored waterless shower gel alternative. There's no other brand doing that.
That's great, thank you.
How do you compare to Myro?
So Myro is an American brand. They do offer shower powders. However, as I mentioned during my pitch, our main differentiator is the fact that our products are tailored to skin types. Myro is following a one-size-fits-all approach. Yes, they do offer different fragrances, but they have one product for all skin type, whereas we have 3 different formulas targeting very different body skin needs, such as well-balanced, dry, sensitive. So for example, if a person is suffering from eczema and like high sensitivity, they could pick one of our formulas, which is going to be tailored to their skin type and help them with their condition. Whereas other brands such as Myro and other on the market just have one product, usually with different fragrances, but it's just one same formula.
Got a question about your manufacturing. You talked about wanting to expand, entering one mass market retailer in the UK. Do you have plans to set up manufacturing local, or is that manufacturing done offshore somewhere far away, or where is the manufacturing done? And then secondarily, would you be able to localize production all over the place?
That's a great question. So manufacturing is based in Germany, and it's helping us to fulfill the UK market, which is our first market. We are planning to enter quite shortly after that France and Germany, because I'm from France, as you guys can probably hear. My co-founder is from Germany. We have very good networks in both markets. So that's the next markets in line, and further European markets. Now, to answer your question, we also have US investors on board, and they are very keen to bring the concept to the US. And whenever we should do that, we will localize production. So we will be looking for a manufacturing partner in the US. We would not be shipping products from Germany to the US.
Why did you start by building a D2C versus a B2B brand?
COVID, in all transparency. So when I started working on Ethosa, the idea was finding a more sustainable alternative to hotel amenities. So I wanted to come up with this solution that would put an end to the plastic toiletries I was showing a couple of minutes ago, whether they're big or small, and also removing water from the manufacturing process of these products. But as I started, COVID hit at the same time. Hotels and Europe went into lockdown, so I could not conduct the primary research I wanted to at the time. And therefore, together with my co-founder, we brainstormed, and with people spending a lot more time at home, looking for ways also to do more self-care, to entertain themselves, and be more sustainable. We thought it would be a great opportunity to go to market with a direct consumer proposition that would engage the customer also in the DIY process of the product, which is a growing trend in the industry.
What's the biggest challenge or pushback you've had so far?
So waterless, while it's one of the biggest trends in the beauty personal care industry, and I also know that because my background is in consumer market research, and I used to work with the giants in this world, the Unilever, Colgate, Palmolive, Procter & Gamble, you name it. So I know this is the big thing that's coming up. But it's still, and especially in Europe, comparing to the US market, it's still quite early days. So there's a lot of education that is required. And we need to bring that switch into consumer habits of using shower products. So there's a lot of awareness work needed and a lot of education. So obviously we do need quite some resources in order to be able to conduct this exercise in the different markets we want to penetrate and operate in.
Have you guys identified what community or communities benefit the most from your product or the service that you guys are providing?
Yes. Up to now, with the product prototype, which was only one formula, so only for well-balanced skin, the main target audience was more around sustainability. So people that are looking to reduce their bathroom plastic waste, but also their carbon footprints. So very much around sustainability. Now that we are about to launch the different products targeting very different body skin needs, we're going to tap into skincare niches as well. So very specific audiences such as people suffering from skin sensitivity or other types of skin related problems.
Just kind of more of a follow-up question to that, because I think it's, definitely makes sense, like exactly what the benefit is happening right here, but is there a specific community that you guys have been able to identify that has very much claimed that this is exactly what we're suffering? A very specific community, whether it's like a specific set of dermatologists, or whether it's even like a social media Facebook group of like people who are really struggling with like a lot of these skincare conditions and issues. I'm looking for something like that, something where you can like really leverage partnerships. Wondering if you guys have anything like that.
Yes, so that's something that we're looking at the moment as we speak. We are going to implement a skin type questionnaire on our website, which is going to help people understand their skin type and help them with product recommendation and also overall lifestyle recommendations. We are also looking into different Facebook groups where indeed people are speaking about very specific issues to be able to target these people. I mentioned the skin questionnaires, the groups, and again, yes, we are also quite well connected to skincare experts and dermatologists, and we are in conversation with different people at the moment to also make sure that we have these statements from people that are accredited within the space and that are trustworthy, if you want, so to reassure future customers.
Any last questions, guys, for Ethosa?
Could you provide a little bit more specifications in terms of what is required for this pilot to launch that you mentioned earlier with some of the hotels that you were looking into?
Yes, of course. So the beauty of our product, of the powder, is that you don't necessarily need to reactivate it with water to turn it into a gel. You can activate it directly under water. So you can literally pour some powder onto your wet hands and it will automatically activate and foams and you can lather yourself. So what we are looking to bring to hotels is actually the powder itself in dispensers. So customers or guests would only have to take a little bit of powder from the dispenser and start lathering themselves. So what we need, the manufacturing process of the powder is not an issue at all. This is something we're doing at the moment and it's easily doable, but we need to invest in dispensers. And when the hotels we're speaking to are quite large, so they have a couple of hundreds of bedrooms, so it would be quite a significant investment in terms of like getting the supplies to conduct the pilot.
What's the price point of sorry. Go ahead, David.
It's Gabriel here.
Gabriel, go ahead.
I just had a last quick question on what I think you said on the TAM was around $8.5 billion for the total addressable market in the first couple of slides.
Yeah.
I'm curious, you raise the 600,000 pounds, you do your trials, you get a few more formulas out there. Where does this go? What do you see as longer term? What market are you owning? Do you see already an exit, or is this build the company to something big? What are you thinking for longer term?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So for the couple of years to come, obviously it's growing the brand, becoming a global brand. So we are not only going to stop in Europe, we're going to expand to the US. We have conversation as well with a distributor as we speak in the MENA region. And Asia is also on the list, since we have some interest from investors in the area who would also like to bring the concept there. So the idea is to become a global brand, and the ultimate goal, and as I said earlier, I'm quite well connected in the industry. So we already had some early conversations with the likes of Unilever Ventures, for example. And as I said, as I know how the R&D process work in these big companies, they are all interested, but they would never start it themselves because it takes them years to launch a product. And I have some concrete examples on that if you guys are interested. So we know they tend to acquire startups. So the idea is to be on their radar, and as soon as we're big enough to be acquired by one of the big boys.
What's the price point compared to just other comparables?
Yeah, so I can give you the point of reference, our starter kit, which comes with a forever bottle, a durable pump, and a set of refills. One refill is equaling up to 45 washes, up to 45 showers. It's 1990 pounds. And then once you subscribe to our subscription model, our refill starts at 6.30 pounds. And as I said, it's up to 45 showers.
And that is comparable how to just a traditional body wash?
So if you take a standard body wash with quite a large bottles, they usually retail between, again, I'm taking the UK as an example, but 4 or 5 pounds. So we're not that far away.
Very cool. Well, I want to move things on to our next company. Thanks so much for presenting, Gail.
My pleasure.
And then I turn things over to Rhinus. You want to take things away, share a little bit more about you guys, what you're doing. It's a pretty fascinating space, I think. But we'll see what you guys think as well. Yes. A little bit more waste management.
Yes, waste management, materials recovery. So I will try to share my screen. Good.
Looking good. What is Catalytico? Take us down. Take us through.
Catalytico. Yes, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to Catalytico and a local supply chain for zinc oxide. Our goal is to develop a circular economy ecosystem and disrupt zinc oxide supply chain, reduce Europe's dependency on imported materials, and help industry to meet the sustainability goals. 40% of zinc oxide consumed in Europe is imported. At the same time, there are large amounts of zinc oxide containing waste from metallurgical industry, and its utilization is high energy cost consuming and costly. More than half of zinc oxide production is consumed in tire and rubber production, and it is irreplaceable for this industry, and the demand is on increasing trend. Zinc oxide is also an important material for catalysts and adsorbents. We can secure a local supply chain for zinc oxide by extracting it from metallurgical waste streams. We manufacture advanced zinc oxide products with unique characteristics and obtain added volume. Catalytico is using a proprietary wet precipitation method to separate the materials and obtain powders with unique characteristics and added volume. Our competitive advantage comes from the uniqueness of our method that recovers a superior material with low environmental impact. Our aim is to obtain sustainable production cost leadership for high-performance zinc oxide production. Recovering high-quality materials from zero-volume byproduct is unique in our approach. We have started tests with several industry partners and received positive results. Our zinc oxide already received technical confirmation from 4 customers, and we have ongoing projects with the major metallurgical company. So Catalytico manufactures advanced zinc oxide products from other industry waste streams. Our business model is a direct supply of zinc oxide products and licensing in designated territories. Today, we are facing new challenges with a global supply chain and set strong goals to reduce dependency on imported materials. Also, CO2 emissions from the whole product lifecycle becomes more costly each year. That is why using recovered materials is critical today. Zinc oxide is quite a big market. It is worth around 4 billion euros. The tire and rubber industry has the largest share, consuming 55%. And in few years, we estimate to obtain around 60 million euro market share. To this day, we have raised 800,000 from different funding sources and validated our technology and got customer traction. Now we are raising seed round investment to start active sales and generate revenues within 6 months. Next year, we plan to expand sales in North America and start operating our pilot production plant. In 2025, we expect to reach a production amount of 2,000 tons per year and 10 million in revenues. And we will make it thanks to our excellent team of keen entrepreneurs and experienced scientists, supported by an excellent advisory team. And we are already an international team with the main office in Riga, Latvia, and strong connections in Europe and US.
1 minute warning.
So we are raising 2 million euro seed round investment to start production with toll manufacturers and build our own pilot plant, increase our testing and sampling capacity to onboard new customers and secure our IP. So we are at the beginning of a great journey to change the zinc oxide industry towards sustainability. And if you are interested to be part of our journey, I encourage you to reach out to me and ask questions. Thank you.
It's certainly an interesting journey. While I bring the other investors in, my quick question would be, why is it taking so long to get to this point of raising a seed round? 4 or 5 years is kind of slow for a high growth startup.
Yes, but for deep tech, maybe it's not so slow. But also during that time, we have already pivoted, I would say, 2 times, adjusting our technology and finding the right business model.
Gabriel, you want to kick things off with questions?
Yeah, I'm curious about the technology. You mentioned that you were able to separate using a proprietary process the zinc oxide from the other materials. Can you get a little more into, and then, obviously there's stuff you can't share, but can you get a little deeper into how exactly you're doing that and what makes you unique?
So we are using a wet precipitation method, which is a common method in chemical industry. So we do not need any kind of specific equipment. We can use chemical industry standard equipment, but we have our own process and solutions what we use in our process for this separation.
And how did you develop those? Where did those come from? How unique are they?
So this was we are using one background technology which is open available, which was used for manufacturing catalysts, and this was developed by father and mother of our CTO, and we took one part from that catalyst manufacturing process, and this which is concerned about this part for preparation of the zinc oxide itself. And we improved it within Catalytico, and yeah, that is our technology. So that background technology is openly available, so we can use it as a background technology.
Okay, one question from my side. One of the strategic points next is securing the IP that you developed the last years. My question would be the increase of revenue you projected seems to be very steep. Like, how do you envision that to happen?
So this increase of revenues is, I would say, related to the market specifics, because if we start to supply to the rubber industry, they consume in thousands of tons this material. So, and our kind of revenue and supply increase up to like next 5 years is just reaching the amounts of one small rubber manufacturer.
Okay, a follow-up question. Wouldn't you also see there a risk as a startup being dependent on one large customer? How would you try to address that?
Yeah, of course, that would be a risk. So we are trying to work with several customers. We already we participated in this Tire Technology Expo conference, and we got contacts with basically all tire manufacturers. And when we reached out to them with our proposition, I was surprised that we got interest from every kind of tire manufacturer. And we got calls with all R&D departments, and everyone wanted to test our material. So we sent out more than 30 samples, and they are testing. We are starting to receive feedback and advancing into next testing phase. And also this recovery from metallurgical waste, this is one stream, but we also work with chemical companies, with producers of catalysts, where they also have these broken catalysts or spent catalysts that they need to just landfill because they don't have processes to recover material. But we can recover materials from those spent and broken catalysts, and then sell back these recovered materials to the same company where we got this, let's say, waste stream. So we are working with several companies in the rubber industry, and we are targeting also different industries like rubber and chemical industry.
Rennis, follow on to Armin's question there. It seems like great opportunity to capture and create a circular system. I'm curious, back to that question of scale. It sounds like you're very, very early stage in terms of volumes that you can do right now. How quickly can you ramp up to do that growth that you're projecting? You know, if you got letters from all of those manufacturers, how quickly can you scale?
Yeah, so that is now our main goal. We have qualified our material, let's say, and now we need to get to start to manufacture in ton scale so that we can start actually to supply them. And now we are raising this investment to build our first pilot plant, and we estimate this pilot plant to be around 200 tons per year by the end of next year. And then yeah, in another 2 years, 1 or 2 years, we would scale to an industrial site plant, and we estimate that the minimum volume for the industrial size plant would be 2,000 tons per year, and that is 0.1% of the market. And then it is just scaling up new industrial plants. And here the idea is that that we will build this first pilot plant, which we'll use as a demonstration plant. And when this process of material recovery is demonstrated to one metallurgical company, let's say, then we would create a joint venture company with this metallurgical one, and the metallurgical company can provide us bank warranties to install the industrial equipment. and the recovery plant would also be located on this metallurgical site, so that the recovery happens on that on their site, so they don't have to deal with this waste stream at all. And this allows us to scale with each metallurgical plant. We can make this joint venture business model, and this allows us to scale faster and also without additional equity investments.
Approximately how long would this process take? The one that you just described about needing to build the plants and then needing to work with another joint to create a joint venture. Approximately how long would you expect this to take?
So we estimate that we would build this pilot plant by the end of next year, and then, yeah, I would estimate that the assembly and building an assembly of the first industrial plant maybe will take another 2 years, but then the next ones could be already faster.
What's the biggest risk you see in the business?
Well, for today, it is raising the seed round to get to this pilot plant so that we can actually start to supply, because we have these, you can say, big customers who need them in ton scale to supply. But for us, it is difficult to manufacture. Of course, we can do some in lab, some grams or maybe kilograms, but it is difficult to make tons. So now we have this to make this jump to the ton scale manufacturing, and then yeah, the next step would be probably to optimize, to further optimize our process, and yeah, try to reduce costs for our process so that we are more competitive with these virgin materials. But yeah.
How close are you on that cost side of things, or how far off are you? I guess you don't know because of scale, but do you perceive a lot of distance between current and yours?
No, our target is to provide savings also to our customers, to the rubber industry and so on. So when we speak about this chemical industry and this recovering from catalysts and selling back to catalyst manufacturers, there we have we estimate very good margins, because there we have a premium product which is highly activated, with high surface area. I don't know if that means something for you, but kind of that is premium product that we can recover and sell back to this industry. With rubber, it is a bit different, and we need to compete with commodity products. So we need to be price competitive. But the good thing is that thanks to this high activity of our product, the rubber industry is they can reduce consumption of this material, and thanks to the reduced consumption, we will provide also saving. Of course, per kilogram, our material is kind of more expensive, but thanks to that, you need to use it less. You can save.
What's the breakdown of the market size in terms of the high performance needs versus the low performance commodity needs?
So it depends on the industry. In the chemical industry, for catalysts, there the use of high performance materials is higher, yeah, maybe 50-50, something like that. It also depends on the applications. For catalysts, they always use activated materials. For some adsorbents, they may use regular materials. But in the rubber, because of the cost, they mainly use these regular low performance materials, but something like 10% is this advanced materials.
But how big of that 7 billion a year pie is the advanced material, and how big of that is the commodity material where you'll have more of a cost war?
Yeah, I would estimate like in the total market is like 10% is the advanced material.
Have you gotten any LOIs or letters of intent from the rubber companies, tire manufacturers, etc.?
Yeah, so 4 companies have qualified our material. LOI we have from Yokohama, and from the chemical companies we have LOI with Lanxess and Arlanxio.
What are some of the requirements that your team needs to accomplish in order to execute on these contracts with Yokohama or Lexus?
So yeah, improving our team competencies is also one of the goals for this investment round. We would need an engineer, a chemical engineer, in our team who could help us with designing and of this pilot plant. And then we also are looking for the next would be also customer relations manager that we would need help with this task as well, and another chemist in the lab to keep on improving what we do.
Do you guys currently have like a couple of candidates that you guys are eyeing right now, or what's like the biggest hurdle in terms of acquiring this of getting this team put together?
Yes, we are looking for talent, and yes, also we have some candidates for the chemists and so on. But now kind of. I'm not pushing this very strong forward, because now we need to secure the funding, and then we can hire additional team.
Awesome. Any last questions, folks, or should we move on? Well, then, thanks for presenting, Rhinus, sharing what you guys are doing. And let's keep it in the waste and reuse kind of circularity approach, and kick things over to Adam with Reviv. Adam, you want to share what you guys are doing at Reviv Energy?
Yeah, my pleasure, everyone. Nice to meet you all. And let's switch over to my pitch deck here. Can you see it?
Looks good. Your 5 minutes starts now.
Cool. So my name's Adam Rajguru. I started this company about 1.5 years ago as I graduated from university at McGill. And I actually just flew back here from Bali a couple of days ago. I'm in Vancouver Island, but my heart is in Bali. I visited there 3 years ago, and it inspired this project. As you may well know, there's quite a big sustainability crisis happening with plastic, which we previously touched on today. But it's actually quite a big opportunity as well, because there's an interesting way of producing basically treasure from this trash, which is a route that I've been exploring recently. So there's a thermal process that can be used to transform plastic into high performance diesel, which is kind of the cash cow of the oil industry. And right now there's an interesting shift happening in the oil industry where we're producing a much higher proportion of natural gases than we are crude oil. So this natural gas contains a lot of ethanol, which is actually leans itself to be turned into plastic rather than fuel. So as we do need these band-aid solutions to reduce plastic consumption, down the road, we're actually not going to be able to discourage the market from producing this amount of plastic, because it's so ingrained into the oil industry. But with this process, we can actually take the plastic after its use and transform it into this high energy density diesel that we're missing out on right now in the oil industry. So it's quite exciting, and my process is revolving around this new spin on what you might have heard is called pyrolysis, which is using heat to break things down. Our process incorporates organic material into the process. So we mix sort of agricultural scraps with plastic, and we're able to, in this way, not only produce green fuels in a much more efficient way than that has been done before, but we're also producing this organic fertilizer that can be used to heal soil. So that's going to be a very important material in the next 50 years in areas that have been affected significantly by climate change, with very rapid soil degradation in those areas. So it's essentially a system to produce treasure from trash, and in the process, it's producing heat and all these back-end environmental benefits, cleaning up the environment, healing soil, and it's really just a win-win-win value stacking model. So I probably don't need to mention much about the market size for oil. It's absolutely massive, and the recycling revenue is going to triple in the next few years, as accelerated and spurred on by China closing its borders recently to accepting much of the world's plastic. So there's this market window that we see. That's we're also seeing the technology stepping into this market window, being ready, and a massive opportunity for a new era of sustainable circular solutions. So say we need to spend about $6,000 on 1,000 tons of waste on transportation and of procuring these wastes. Generally, we get paid to take the waste, but say that changes down the road and it ends up costing some cash. We're actually able to 11x the value of that trash by unlocking the energy in this material. So it might sound like magic, but it's essentially just using a bit of activation energy and some chemistry and a bit of wizardry and producing these very useful fuels that we can then transport and use for for our civilization. Using electricity for everything just isn't feasible. We have lots of machines that use liquid fuel, and we're running out of liquid fossil fuels. So this is a way of being good stewards to the earth, not only cleaning up the plastic, but extending the use of this liquid fuel that we have a very limited amount of.
1 minute, Warden.
Thank you. So we can see over here on the left, upper left, that we have mechanical recycling, which is 99% of current recycling, which just basically means shredding up the plastic, melting it, cleaning it off, uses a lot of water, and repurposing that into lower quality plastic. So this can only be done a handful of times, actually, and it sort of just delays the problem. So if we're producing 1 million tons of plastic a day, and we're just producing lower quality plastic from that, and that's what we call recycling, that's the antithesis of sustainability. So over on the right-hand side, we have pyrolysis, which is much more profitable than things like gasification or incineration, where you're just burning the plastic for very relatively little amount of energy. And then up here, we've got Reviv, which is the next generation of pyrolysis. So quick, big look on the business model. We basically spend a little bit of money, produce a lot of value. And the team is growing. We're actually positioning ourselves for a new project in Indonesia right now. So things are a bit up in the air with this current process and ask.
Time is up.
Cool. All right, looking forward to your questions.
Thanks for presenting. So just quickly, while I'm bringing in people, bringing in our panelists, do you want to share a little bit more about the team?
For sure. So this actually began with myself and some partners at McGill. I kind of pivoted my degree into the technological entrepreneurship space in my final semester, connected with some really good mentors there, and had a really kind of lucky introduction to my first investor over at McGill as well, who's been, I kind of knew of him through some friends, and he was kind of this mythic figure that I now work with every day, and it's been exciting.
You wanted to say something, David?
No, I was just stretching myself, but I mean, while I'm called, would have loved to hear a little bit more about that business model. I think we didn't quite have enough time. Could I just get an example of some of your most common or best customers?
Yeah, so it's been more of a fundraising year of getting the funds for the first facility. I don't have any current customers, but the tech partners that I'm working with in India now have shown their oil product to just about every big oil company, and it's not a matter of is this good enough oil? It's just a matter of how much can we get, because it's actually much higher quality oil than you can get from crude oil, kind of pre-refined in a way.
Who owns that IP? You said art. You made it sound like it's someone else.
Yeah, so we pivoted from developing the process that I began this company with into focusing on developing some of these tech partners' machinery because it's just de-risked. They've, as I've met more and more people in the space, the big block to move has changed from, making this technology more feasible to, okay, we found some people that can actually do this pretty well, but it's such a niche industry and there aren't many operators in the space who can understand the technology and get it out there. We've just partnered up and we're going to deploy some of their technologies and make an impact immediately. There's a bit of a market delay on the products that I produce with my process because it's more of a biofuel. So instead of waiting to overcome those roadblocks, we're going to do them sort of concurrently. We're going to keep the research company in Canada to develop that pilot scale project into commercial, and then we're going to be developing the Indonesian project alongside that, which is technologically de-risked.
Seems like a lot of distraction to go to different jurisdictions, different regions, different technologies. How do you think about focus?
Good question. I think just compartmentalizing it, doing it one leg at a time. There's a decent lead time on projects when we're setting up a facility. And we've got lots of people interested in Canada. It could be a plan that changes. Right now, it makes sense. But yeah, TBD. It could be that the process I designed is more of a 5-year from now project to work on, and we'll have our hands full with development. But I think that's a good problem to have.
Your venture has a lot of potential benefits it can be providing. I'm curious as to what partnerships you're first immediately looking to target in order to expand or grow. Just similar to Matt's question, I mean, there seems to be a lot of directions it can go. So I mean, in my experience, sometimes it's kind of hard. If you really focus on a lot of them, you kind of might be spinning some wheels. What are some of your first initial goals?
Yeah, finding that right investor has been a big focus. We've had a lot of interest and we've really been selective on who shares the vision. So we were pursuing a project for Azores, Portugal, with an investor who was very big in the crypto space, and he had a vision for incorporating kind of the metaverse GameFi space into this to help procure plastic. Because surprisingly, one of the biggest issues for this type of industry is that to make the machines kind of CapEx friendly, they need to be as big as possible. And to make this big as possible, we're dealing with thousands of tons of plastic, which is a scale that's hard to agglomerate. Even though it's 1 million tons produced, it's so dispersed. So we were looking at collecting plastic on the individual level, having people have ways of making money from bringing in plastic. And then he kind of got distracted with the crypto meltdown, and he introduced me to my current investor, who's the chairman of one of these Indian companies that has his kind of finger in lots of different pots of the waste management space. So we're looking at sort of an integrated waste management company where we are able to mine plastic from this alongside mining metals. Zinc oxide might be a cool route for a potential partnership there. But that solves the problem of having to pay people for plastic collection and things like that in the early stages where we don't want to set up that system quite yet. So yeah, seeing people who have the funds and also the vision for how big this can be.
Adam, when you talk about those funds, you obviously had to go quickly through that slide that talked about what you're actually raising, and I caught 3.5 million, but I didn't really catch details. Curious if you could speak a little bit to what's that going for. It sounds like there's a research thing happening in Canada. There's a scaling of things happening in Indonesia. You just tied in the Azores, which I totally lost where that came from, except for the investor part. But I'm curious, where does that 3.5 million go? What are you doing with it?
Yeah, so that was the raise we were looking to fund our first facility with. We have found an investor who's going to fund that facility and future facilities. So we may be opening things up for investments for R&D in Canada if he's not open to kind of keeping that channel open between the companies. And maybe things won't work out. We haven't finalized everything. So if that's the case, it would be raising for that first facility is a $3.5 million investment that our tech partner will back dollar for dollar. So it's essentially kind of 3.5 million on their end already. And then that's about 5.4 million EBITDA for that one facility. So it pays for itself quite quickly. and allows for rapid expansion and growth. So we're sitting at about a 15 million valuation on that.
And I'm sorry, to be clear, the facility you're talking about is Indonesia to actually scale production there based on mining. Is that correct?
So the current project we're looking at will be specific to Indonesia. We were looking at several different companies with sort of local operating partners, and lots of them, this particular investor wants to focus in on Indonesia, so we've narrowed our sights there. But the good problem to have in this industry is that everywhere has this problem. Everywhere can use this technology, and it's such a massive scale of an issue that there's plenty of plastic to go around and plenty of money to be made from it.
Is it a VC opportunity or a PE opportunity? Because it seems very challenging to scale, and I can see how it'll kick off revenue, but not how it can get real big real fast.
Yeah, I was pursuing VCs with my initial design, and we've pivoted more into PE, as this is just a kind of lower risk, higher upfront investment play.
Which is the biggest weakness of your team?
I can't speak Indonesian very well yet. I'm working on it. So there's a great waste management kind of WhatsApp group I've gotten into recently in Bali, where turned out to be a fantastic place to be for this issue. There's a lot of energy around it. So I'm in conversation with a few potential partners who speak the language. Beyond that, a really solid oil and gas PhD. My current guy is in Ottawa. I'm not sure if he can relocate to Indonesia, so might be looking for people in that space, but I've got a pretty good nail on the technology so far, especially if we're not focusing too much on R&D right now.
Adam, what are 2 things you're excited about that will be accomplished in 2023?
Very likely we'll have our first facility operational. We'll be able to show the local governments that this is a safe technology that's very effective. Really just having that first plant in the ground changed a lot for people. They want to see that you've got that physical thing. That'll open the doors to a lot of blue chip companies that we've been speaking with who want to make investments in the space and get the brand out there, get the message that, plastic is solved in a way, right? Like we don't want to encourage the production more than we can, but it gives a lot of hope for people in an industry that's plagued with a lot of guilt and shame and things like that.
Adam, kind of following then that you talked about the interest from big oil companies and so forth. Do you have any offtake agreements where you start production and somebody wants the stuff yet?
Through our tech partners, yes, not specifically by me, but that's something that sort of comes in with partnership that we're developing. Yeah, one of the big blocks to move will be navigating the Indonesian government, which is very prone to wanting the wheel to be greased a little bit. And the business partner is very hyper ethical, so we'll not be giving any bribes and things like that. So it's going to be a lot of negotiating and hopefully speaking with the president a little bit and getting things moved around to be more ethical and facilitating this technology.
So if you had a lead come in that was looking to raise or looking to support your raise, and they said actually not Indonesia due to the technicalities and complications you just mentioned, are you open to that pivot, or is it Indonesia is where we're headed because you've got this other investor?
Yeah, I would open the discussion to there. It's nice to have other offers on the table, even though we still have a few. This is a gentleman who I work with for free, so it's just that really good partnership. But it's nice to keep the conversation open for future developments, and in about 5 years we're going to be looking to start merging a lot of these companies that are popping up and assimilating them. So we could potentially hand off some technology to another partner who wants to work with that individual and things like that. So yeah, lots of work to be done.
Can you hand off that technology if you don't own that technology, though? It made it sound like you were licensing the technology and then rolling it out.
Yeah, it's a possibility for sure. The partners are open to it. Anyone in this space recognizes how much plastic is out there, and the people I've been working with are sort of unified in this mission for global sustainability rather than greed. So they'd be open to it, and there's other people I could connect them to if not.
I don't mean that so much as you would be the middleman in that situation.
Right.
Okay. Any last questions? Gabriel, Armin, David?
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome. Thanks as well for pitching, Adam. It's a super interesting opportunity. It's clearly a massive problem, and well, getting bigger every day. And we talked single-use plastics and packaging a bit, so we might as well go over to CleanHub. Before I do, and before I kick things over to Robert, though, I just wanted to let you guys know this is all brought to you by Valbon by Carta. It's the best way to set up an SPV, manage your ESOPs, manage your employee benefits, etc. If you're running a startup, if you're running a fund, if you're a syndicate and like to set up and syndicate rounds, or like us with our accelerator, do a post-round investments into the company as well, then Valbon by Carta is probably the best solution. Forward.vc/Carta, CARTA, for more details. And for more about us, if you want to learn about our partner in crime, Climate Accelerator, we call it the partner in crime because, well, founders literally need someone there who's going to bat for them every day. I know a lot of funds will tell you that. And generally, founder friendly means a whole lot of nothing. We try to be the most networked, kind of growth hacking focused accelerator out there. So helping companies get major scale and traction, some serious pilots, and some real numbers within the first couple months. Forward.vc/forward.vc for more details. That's forward, the number 4ward.vc. We invest in companies that move the world forward, like these guys. And speaking of companies that move the world forward, Robert, do you want to get rid of single-use packaging for us? What are you guys doing?
Exactly. Thanks for the introduction. And we just continue with this topic since we all like to talk about this, and it's a massive problem we have to fix. So 1 second, sharing the screen here. My computer is a bit slow, but it's loading, as you should see the slide deck. So yeah, okay, perfect.
Take it away.
First of all, thank you so much. So I'm Robert, one of the co-founders of CleanHub. We are a Copenhagen-based tech startup, and we are fighting single-use packaging. So we are accelerating the transition into reusable packaging, working specifically actually with these noted SDGs here, number 11, 12, 13, and 14, but the core is responsible consumption and production, SDG number 12. Why are we doing this? I mean, this was mentioned today already, and also Adam is working on this. One thing is single-use has failed us. So it's a huge issue. Single-use packaging, you consume a coffee, like a beverage or like food, and within a certain amount of time, around 20 minutes, it's waste. And then the value of it is so low that it's not really a recycling infrastructure out there. I know Adam is working on it, but in the end, it's not there yet, and it's a massive problem. Also, the media really realized that it's not a silver bullet. We can't just replace regular plastic with bioplastic, because it's just not possible to recycle. So we have to go basically back to a model where we prevent the waste, and this is basically only done with reusing, having a product which can be reused over and over again and can cut down on these huge waste volumes. So we're doing this reusable moment basically enabled with technology. So 2 years ago, we launched an app here in Denmark, in Copenhagen, which made it easy to borrow and return reusable packaging. As you can see, these metal cups we have for coffee, and then these bowls here on the right. So this is basically the program, and it was one of the first companies working with app and a digital return system for reusable packaging. And by doing this and basically scaling up here in Copenhagen, we learned a lot, and this brings us to this little pivot I'm presenting here today. Right now, we're working with different segments. So we have on the left side cafes and restaurants. So that's more sustainable coffee chains, vegan, vegetarian food chains, which have around 15 items per location. Then we're working also with universities, so all the big Danish universities here in Copenhagen, real estate companies, and so on. And recently we launched also with corporate sites. So we know Nordea, Danske Bank, Maersk, United Nations. So we know some of these corporate clients using our system in their corporate offices. And basically by working in these different segments, you really understand that there's like not one solution fits all. And of course, we had to strip down the product to a certain level, because we kind of over-engineered also our system to fit all in these different segments. But just to briefly give you an update on basically how our revenue model works for now and also will in the future. So we have, of course, the corporate side, like the restaurants, the cafe, they are basically replacing single-use with reusables, and they are the one we monetize on, or especially, of course, the ones with the big volumes, so like the corporate universities and so on. And then there is also a fee when reusable packaging is not returned, because it's very, very important that basically reusable packaging, because they have a way higher impact than single-use packaging, because they have this break-even point, and that they circulate as long as possible in the system and then basically prevent as much as waste as possible. So we also have a fee if the product is not returned. But now the product I want to pitch to you today. So basically the whole thing, which single use is apparently still the most convenient. You consume something, throw it away, but of course you have waste management behind it, huge amount of resources and energy are lost here. And you need to basically get to reusables on the same level of convenience to make an impact and to switch here. And we're doing this with these new game-changing innovations. So basically it's a digital solution. It's present and a counter in basically 10 to 50 times faster than any reusable system out there. And,
1 minute warning.
It's extremely simple. It's the most convenient way to borrow reusable packaging. It basically works with a tap of a credit card and ready to go. This is exactly what you need to make a big impact here in this solution. Also with this, we introduce a smart cup, so basically a unique product making able to track the individual performance of a product and connect it to a user, to an app or to a credit card, and make sure to understand the flows of these things. And yes, so we are raising 0.4 million US dollars. We already got 2,000 US dollars recently from a business angel right before Christmas, and now we wanted to add it up to basically bring this pivot to market and then able to attract a Series C funding afterwards. Yes, that's us. Last slide, funding team. Me as a German guy living in Denmark, and my two co-founders, Simone and Giuseppe from Italy. I think that's the last one. Yep.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for sharing, Robert. I'll bring in the other investors, and while we do, can you explain a little bit more about the actual system? So you didn't get real deep into that. It was more interesting via email when we had our back and forth. So can you share a little bit more how that works?
Exactly. So I don't want to spend too much time on the old solution, because this is kind of something we kind of replacing. Let me explain. The new one is basically it's a hardware device standing on the counter, and you can just with the tap of your credit card or Apple Pay or Google Pay, you can rent reusable packaging, and so that's all you need. You create an account there. So you basically right now we operate how to download an app and basically register, use, scan, and return the packaging. We're basically moving the app from the user's phone on this device and make it extremely fast and accessible. And then of course behind is like some new technology with payments and financing, all these things included. But yeah, we're switching away from just because right now the system is you rent with an app packaging, reusable packaging for free for 10 days. We can return to all partners in the network and borrow it. And this will be, of course, the same system. We just remove this massive complexity at the beginning to download an app and register. And if you're not returned within 10 days, we charge a fee and you buy out the packaging, but we have a 98% return rate. So you can clearly see the system works over 2 years with around 140 partners here in 2 countries.
Just to make sure I understand, I walk up to the counter, I tap my credit card, I get a cup, I take my cup, I go for a walk, and 2 days later, I bring it back to XYZ other location, and I'm good to go.
Exactly. Only if you exceed more than 10 days, you get charged for the cup, and we send you reminders to your phone number.
And why is no one else doing this currently? What's the competition landscape look like?
Competition landscape is either a digital system as we have right now, so app-based. There are some in Germany, mostly actually in Germany, or a deposit-based system where you pay €1 and get a plastic cup. There's a lot of pros and cons, and we try to combine basically with the ease of just paying €1 for a plastic cup with kind of the app where you have all the technology, the data, and all these things, and make it as successful as possible. So there are more and more startups popping up in Europe, mostly Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, and so on. So there's a kind of a gold rush into these reusable packaging now because of laws introduced or like the huge scale of the problem. But kind of the core technology, as we will move away from app-based towards these new device, this is completely new in this field.
Yeah, app-based is terrible. Do you have any IP for the system? Because it clearly is more efficient than what I've seen, but it also sounds copyable.
Yes, we're working on it right now, actually, with potential. So we just built the MVT, tested it, got some feedback. Now we're working on securing that and making sure that can't be copied. Yeah, we don't have it yet, but we're already in the process.
Got a few questions to follow on there. Robert, and this is really an interesting idea. One of the challenges I've seen in companies doing something like this is the return collection and cleaning piece, because I bring it back and I may have left my coffee in it for 4 days and it's kind of gross. How are you dealing with that? And are you having collection points sort of scattered throughout a city, or is the collection point the coffee shop or wherever they originally acquired the vessel?
Yes, right now it's completely decentralized. So we return it to the restaurants, the cafes, the universities, so all of our partners, and they do localize the washing, because that's also the only sustainable, financially and environmental sustainable model in the beginning when you scale up. Of course, after some when you have the right volumes, you can then decentralize and wash it in a certain place and do the logistics as well. But for now, in Denmark, we're not there yet. And that's also the goal to scale up. So once the locations, especially the universities and the corporate sites, can't wash by themselves, you need to introduce like these reverse logistics and wash separately. Yeah.
And are you seeing uptake from the customers just because it feels like the right thing to do, or is there a cost savings for them relative to the newly incurred cost of having to deal with and wash these vessels?
Basically both. So definitely the right thing to do, branding and the awareness in general about plastic. One thing is, of course, laws. So especially in Germany, there's a law since the beginning of the year. Sweden is coming next year. UK banned something recently. So there are some laws working in this direction. Also, the EU has a law. Then it's kind of this race for compliance that the company tried to understand now. And we're talking with Nestle and with Coca-Cola and all these ones, because they will be impacted the most when a law like this is coming. And of course, they also the slowest want to change. And they want to understand, of course, what's out there. They are scoping right now the market, understanding which solution works for which segment or which customer journey, because of course, a cinema has a different customer journey than a fast food place or a gas station.
And shifting a bit, that 400K, where is that going? That's not a ton of money. So what are you doing with it?
No, this is completely, we're quite efficient when it comes to money. We just hired a CTO at the beginning of the year, and we're in the process of hiring a developer on top of that. And with these guys, we're basically building the MVP to commercial scale. So we already have the product, we just need to build the software for that. And that's basically also be building the smart cup, as I mentioned also very briefly, having these reusable plastic cup optimized for circularity. So especially with you mentioned before, like hygiene and so on. So it's basically optimized for drying, for airflow and so on. So there won't be mold or anything when you stack it. And also we're working with a big bank here in Denmark to produce it for their internal use. So we able with quite sufficient funds, or not sufficient, but with cheap funds to make it work. And then we plan to raise around 1 to 2 million euros later that year. So once this kind of technology is proven and protected, and the cap is developed with the chip inside, to scale up and bring it to other countries.
To become the most convenient solution, you need like a lot of availability. Like I don't want to run 10 kilometers to bring back my cup. So you have to be focused on B2B and B2C. So what are the challenges in those two perspectives?
Absolutely. So we started this year in a neighborhood with 10 to 30 partners, and then we grow quite significantly. So now here, for example, Copenhagen, we have a good density, and it's absolutely right. So you can supply this, of course. I think one of the convenience part is also the return. So it doesn't have to be back to the cafe. It could be also like return station, placed at like train stations and bigger meetups. But yeah, we started open world. Basically, with cafes throughout the city, we focused on the neighborhood. So kind of trying to get one neighborhood, get the density, move to the next one, not suddenly spread over a city. And with corporates, or what we see also with universities and so on, it's basically, even though you have the option to return it to whatever 140 partners we have here, it's still mostly inclusive. So because of the convenience, you go to work every day. And so most of the returns are happening at the place where you borrow. So actually kind of independent, you don't need this big network. And we also tested it with cities outside here of Copenhagen, where we just supply it, and then you have a kind of a closed loop in their little city without having this big network and this convenience connected to it.
Robert, I was pretty interested whenever you said that some of the largest affected, organizations or communities out there, what example would be like, some of the soda companies like PepsiCo. Are there other partnerships that you're looking to that I feel like could really benefit you and them? I mean, one of the startups that I worked with was trying to do something similar to this, but instead of like with the cup aspect, they tried it with, I think, a little too many things, and they tried renting out materials. But there are a couple like event planning businesses that have these sort of, rentability dishes, cups. Are there any sort of partnerships that you guys are leveraging to solve some of the stuff that Armin mentioned to make sure that, they're just readily available everywhere, or they, offset some costs, or they even provide certain customers to you?
Yeah, absolutely. There are basically the key players in this field, especially for food, it's food delivery companies like a Volt you have here in Europe, Just Eat and all these ones, because you have all the restaurants already part in this app and basically integrating through them there. So basically Volt, Just Eat, and also of course Too Good To Go, if you know the app for leftover food. So these are ones. And of course, another big card player is because we're building this technology, and also there is, as I mentioned, for example, in Germany, some systems analog, you pay €1 and you lie. They have around 20,000 partners in Germany, so it's definitely the biggest one in that field. And they still like kind of in an analog world. They have to switch at some point to digital payments, to credit cards, to Apple Pay, Google Pay, and so on. And this is also something we believe would be a good possibility to provide them our technology and basically providing them a white label solution. So in this kind of gold rush right now, we want to provide them the picks and the shovels and not really run other systems in Europe where it's already operated by them. Kind of providing the technology they can move away from the deposit.
Then why are you raising only 400,000?
It's just for developing the product right now, building the product, making commercial available, and then we're raising more. So this is kind of just, so kind of we see it as a bridge round, because last year was quite tough to raise funds, and we just did it like a month ago kind of. And now we really looking forward to exceed the runways. We also hear this year will be a tough year, what we heard. We have some soft funding applications on the side, and just to extend our runway, be able to build VC ready, because we already spoke with many VCs, mostly German and Nordic ones. And now we know kind of what they're looking for, especially with the technology side. And once we're ready, we plan to, of course, raise more and be able to aggressively supply this to Germany or to other countries around the world.
Is your IP going to be a design patent or a utility patent? So what exactly are you patenting?
Yeah, it's for the German market. It will be more like these. It's called like Gebrauchsmuster. So it's basically a utility pattern, like how it's working. The European patent, I can't really tell you what now, because it's the lawyer looking at it right now and checking how it can be protected in what way. So, but for the German market, it's like kind of the combination of everything, and the global one or the European one. It's under construction.
What I'm asking is it basically a patent for one tap checkout of a cup? Because that's what it sounds like. And if that's what it is, it's very cool. And if that's not what it is, then a lot of people can basically copy it. Yeah,
that's also the scope, how you put the patent, how broad you make it, how narrow. Of course, it's kind of also connected to the chip in the bottom of the cup. How this is kind of connected, how it works with all the payments involved, the credit card transactions, Apple Pay, and all these things. But this is all I can unfortunately say.
Is there something specific that you guys are doing with that data? I know you mentioned it a little bit previously, and I was sort of curious as to what you guys are doing. Partnerships, sales, does it help with growth? Just kind of curious as to what you guys are looking into.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of what we do right now. So more applying to the solution we have right now. So through the app, we of course know who the customers are. We kind of see the patterns, where they get a coffee when they return. So I think it's quite valuable data. Having, of course, also payment from all the users. So that's also something we want in the future want to harvest, for example, with loyalty, because each time we borrow, you basically can get all these stamp cards for our coffee. This is something you can connect, of course. And the initial idea is, of course, make it as easy as possible, just having with the credit card. But through this, of course, if you want, you can still later have an app or kind of a solution where you find all the partners and so on. So the core is to make it as simple as possible to use it if you want to, and then additionally on top build the app where then of course you have an account and it can connect even more. And for us, of course, the possibility to get better data, understand. And for us, also important through the data, knowing, okay, where are the cups going? Where are the cups? This is something we see in our system right now. So we see, okay, this restaurant or this cafe is running out of cups, and this one has too much. So kind of to optimize a bit the logistics and the back end. And then, of course, with enough data, we can predict it and basically make sure, or even guide it. So we see this place is running low, you get a discount and so on. But there's a lot of ways to do it. And that's also why we build it, because data is super, super important for the system, to understand it, to improve the system. And of course, it is able to create some value for the user and of course for the cafe and restaurant partners.
That's right. So 400 is raised, let's say tomorrow. What are the 2 things that you're excited about that you're going to accomplish at the end of this year?
This year, of course, raising this round, or like a big round, and getting substantial investment. Most excited is to build this, to finalize this product and roll it out. Afterwards is the international expansion. We already scoping markets. We have some interest from Latin America, from the other European countries, Sweden, and Netherlands and Portugal. And so really, I think it's really expansion to other markets, building this product, this markup, and this CleanHub Express, as we call it, and raising funds to be able to speed up the process. Because in this case, it's definitely a speed game. It's absolutely execution, and of course, good when you have some protected technology as well.
As you're talking about that scaling, I'm curious. If I understood you right, you're going essentially neighborhood to neighborhood, building out your partners who are the depots or the deployment hubs for these devices. How would you expand to, for example, Latin America or the Netherlands or wherever that you are not based if you have to go on a neighborhood basis? What's the scaling plan look like for team and?
Yeah. So this, this neighborhood model was the current scaling with our app solution, which we're using over the last 2 years here in Denmark and in Spain. Especially for Latin America, we have possibility with Rio de Janeiro in Brazil and also in Bogota to launch something. So it will be with a local partner, and basically we want to be packaging as a service, so providing the software afterwards. So we're not going with a local team rolling it out. There's a lot of interest in the market. There are even some small startups trying something with waste management and so on. So we want to provide the tools you need, providing the software, providing the knowledge, and then able to have local partners doing basically the dirty work, because we can't be present in all these markets. And then, for example, the other European countries, Sweden, we see Nestle there as a big driver in southern Sweden to do it. It's something we provide them. And this question was asked before from one of you guys, basically how we see exit, and that's exactly the thing, like seeing either like bigger food processor, like food or drink, like beverage companies or food processors like Nestle, Coca-Cola, scooping up technology to integrate, because they have internal goals as well to switch to refillable and reusable packaging, or like delivery companies or anything in this case. This is how we see them, how we scale up. So it will be a different scaling model than we have currently with our app in Denmark and Spain.
If you fail, why will it be?
Oh, that's a very good question. We were close to failing many times already. That's what we learned. So I'm kind of confident that not that it will be this to these areas again. But I still, the biggest risk is probably still funds, like technology will, because it's definitely technology to do it, raising not specific, raising too much, raising too little, especially in this environment we have right now. I think we see it quite critical. Otherwise, the legislation team or others, we are quite confident to be. But I think it's definitely running out of funds before able to make it big enough.
Especially in a blitzkrieg market like this, where you kind of have to conquer, and there'll be a lot of players.
Yeah, still the market is huge. It's so much packaging. It's like a huge market. I mean, it was mentioned before by others. So it's a massive market, but it's still also, for example, Germany is for me always the closest market to Denmark, also as a German. But seeing there is like 2 bigger players working on the field, but still not having reached around 10%. I think Germany uses 3.8 billion, for example, single-use coffee cups a year, and they maybe in total some of them have replaced like 5 million. So that is a massive gap already in there, and they can't scale it off, and it won't be beginning. It will be many partners out there. I guess it's like more scooter sharing model, huge partners out there. And then over the years, it can consolidate. And we see already that the big packaging companies actually who provide single-use packaging are looking and seeing and waiting basically who will be the survivors of this kind of packaging game, even though it will take a while and then maybe integrate as well. This could be also one exit way of the startups as well.
When will you pilot or test out the B2B model of being the packaging as a service for other packaging companies model?
We do now pilots soon, basically in around a month with the current existing solution in Portugal. So this is kind of the first one where we supply a white label for that. And with that we provided to other startups in the field, that's not 100% decided yet. And of course we need to build the solution first. And also it's kind of a bit stealth as much as we do. But the goal is around mid in the summer, basically. So now the next 2 months, finalizing the project, testing as much as possible, and then having a ready to scale model and rolling it out. And this will be one of the first ones we will also reach out to. And we already have these connections because of the markets we're in.
Awesome. Any last questions, folks? Then Robert, thanks for sharing what you're doing, and
of course,
for God's sake, get these coffee shops to stop using single-use cups. It drives me effing nuts. That's why we're all here, because there's a climate problem that drives us effing nuts, and we want to fix that problem. If you're one of those crazy ass founders solving a big problem like Robert, be sure to apply for our partner in crime Climate Accelerator. Forward.vc for more details on how we try to kick ass for our founders. And we've got one more incredible company on the line, and they are doing some pretty awesome things when it comes to energy generation. Rosen, you want to take it away and share a little bit more about G-Kinetic and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Matt. Hope everyone's still awake. I keep drinking water because I'm looking forward to my dinner. So my name is Roisin. I'm joining you from Ireland. I'll just share my slides. So we are G-Kinetic Energy. We're in the space of distributed hydro generation. So Matt just gave a lovely example there. Nobody can pronounce my name. That's fine. It's Roisin. I'm the COO and co-founder. And I mainly cover business development, sales, marketing, and I've also led pretty much all the investment.
One quick thing, Roisin. Do you think you're sharing your screen? Because you're not.
Oh, I do think
you don't have to, but just in case you thought you were.
Sorry, I don't know why that didn't go through. Can you see now?
Good to go. Take it away.
Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, so distributed hydro, and it's important to show the slide because we've actually built a few of these now, so and deployed them. So we're quite far along with our development road. So yeah, I'm Roisin, I'm COO and co-founder, and I cover business development, sales, and marketing. And really what we're setting out to do here, the opportunity that we see is clean energy generation, specifically in the distributed space. And distributed energy is really having a moment right now. It's booming, and rightly so, because the energy landscape needs to change, and everyone's starting to realize that when the grid goes down or when your diesel supply stops, you're in serious trouble. So we're really tapping into the hydro branch of that space. And there's a huge resource there that is not being tapped into. So hydro has really laid the map to show that this is de-risked, the potential is there, and you need the right technology to access it. So we've been very hard at work. We've put an awful lot into our R&D. As I mentioned before, we've deployed a couple of these units. And what we actually realized was we started out as a tidal company. And as we were developing the smaller units to prove out the technology, we realized that there was huge demand for this scale of machine. So it compares really nicely to a diesel generator, which is the current solution being used. It's completely unsustainable and it has to change. And we've really put a lot of work into this product. We've designed it to be really simple, standardized, very affordable, and it's instant. You can literally deploy this in half an hour, take it in and out. It's very easy for operations and maintenance. And we've thought about the full life cycle of the machine as well in terms of its recyclability and the materials that we use. We've 9 granted patents in 7 territories, which cover mainly, this is our main USP. So what makes us different, because there is a lot of companies doing this, and unless you're actually going to put in a dam or major civil infrastructure, your other option is you're working with free flowing water. And what everyone's struggling with is that they don't get enough energy out of that water then. So we are the only company that is actually using this design, where we put an intentional obstacle in the middle of the unit. And what that means then is, as the water approaches it, it accelerates out and around it. And we have 2 vertical axis turbines either side of that bluff body, which is what we've called it. So the next time you're walking over a bridge, have a look down at a bridge pillar and you will literally see this happening. It's so simple. And if you just say to someone, have you seen a boat? This is what's happening under the water. This is our product. So very standardized. There's a lot of markets and applications. To skim them quickly, remote supply is undoubtedly the biggest one. That's where we solve the biggest need and have the biggest impact. Smart cities is also a really booming space, and it's because of the energy volatility recently. We started out just looking at developing countries, but this has now become a global issue. And canals as well, for their ease of access. They don't have a lot of issues with permitting, marine wildlife. And then to mention as well the utility tidal. So we did originally set out looking at that, and then we pivoted, but it's still definitely part of the product roadmap, and it's something that we are working on in the background. So an example of active projects and traction that we do have a current smart cities project, quite a large one. So it's European wide, involving 32 partners, big players involved. It's a 24 million euro project. And we literally just today, I had to email my CTO saying, can I say this? We've just gotten planning permission to put 3 units in the middle of a city environment, which is massive. So a big day for us, big milestone. So that's going to be a really incredible project to see that actually happen now. So there was a lot of stakeholder engagement and work involved with that. And then another project is the VATS project. So that was a key deployment that we did last year, where we ran the machine for a solid 6 months, and we finally got everything with the remote connectivity, loads of testing on environmental impact. We had a team of PhDs, literally with binoculars, underwater cameras, noise systems, proving that the machine has absolutely no negative environmental impact to date, but that's ongoing work.
1 minute warning.
Yep. So obviously, as I mentioned before, the mass market for this is those remote communities and businesses, and that's where we can have the greatest impact. So they're currently relying on diesel generators, or they have no energy at all, and that's really what drives us. We have a great team. Vincent is our CEO, inventor of the technology. He's a project manager at heart with over 30 years experience, and Gary literally moved his whole life to come and join our vision, and he brought with him a wealth of experience in community energy projects. So we have a 2 million raise currently open, and with that, we're going to execute 2 commercial pilot projects, one in the EU, one in the States, grow our team, and execute an extensive marketing and promotion program. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you as well. It sounds very cool. What is the business model?
The business model is through partnerships, so distribution partners, and we're actively talking to a number of partners and hoping to get that secured. So those 2 commercial pilot projects that I mentioned are really, really key. We've gotten a lot of sales contracts, we've gotten a lot of LOIs, but we're being very selective about the 2 pilots that we run with now, and we want industry partners actively as part of those pilots, that then have that market reach and access that we can roll this out on a more global scale. So basically it's B2B, using a network of distribution partners, and the customers that we're actually dealing with are energy project developers, energy utilities tasked with increasing their clean energy generation.
What's the cost of for the capital, and then the actual ROI look like compared to something like solar?
So we've exactly compared it to solar. So basically we're on par with rooftop solar, because it's the best thing to compare to. So yeah, we're at the same levelized cost of energy for solar at 1/50th the footprint of space. So 1 12 kilowatt unit, which was the one I was kind of showing you there that was deployed, will output the same amount of power as an 84 kilowatt installation of solar, which, just to put it visually, is 250 panels, 460 watt panels. So that's a huge advantage that we have. And a lot of the inquiries that we get, they don't have the land space, or they've actually already maxed their solar capacity and they still have a big generation gap. So yeah, we're we're competitive with solar, but we're very competitive with diesel. So we can, like, in certain sites where we can blow diesel out of the water in terms of the costs.
What stage are you at TRL wise?
8. Yay!
It's a good number.
A long road, a long road. So yeah, we're at a really exciting phase now. The fun bit for me anyway, definitely, because like I said, my background is commercial. So yeah, it's been a great journey, but to actually see this out in the market having a positive impact is, you know, that's why I'm doing this, and we're right there now. So yeah, it's an exciting time.
Roisin, maybe a silly question, but you're generating power out in the middle of a channel. Is there a cable that connects it back to shore and into the grid, and how does that work relative to if you're in a shallow channel, for example, boats or other things?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually kind of the main first question that people ask. So it's, yeah, an underwater cable is the easiest way to do it. There's a bit of a perception that that's super complicated, but it's actually not once the distance isn't that far. And the nature of our device is it's very close to where the energy is needed. So yeah, an underwater cable, but the CDX project that I showed, we're actually running them overhead through that infrastructure of the existing bridge. And we can also charge batteries. So there's options.
Great, thank you.
If the waterway freezes?
Yeah, we're looking at that. It's not our exact market, to be honest. So we're more looking at the remote communities in, you know, island communities in Indonesia, French Polynesia, those kind of regions. But yeah, I can't actually answer that because we haven't tested that.
What about like monsoon conditions, or if you are dealing with Indonesia, Southeast Asia, you're going to deal with waves and rain?
We've discussed this, yeah, because it is a big issue with island communities. Like they get some serious storms that come in, and we talked to one resort that has a number of branches, and they had left like their little shuttle boat that kind of brings supplies on a mooring, and a storm like literally threw it halfway across the island. So they should have brought it in. And like I said, it's the same as a boat. So it can literally just be towed into a safe place. It can be lifted out really, really easily. So that City Exchange project as well, like one thing that we had to work around was there's an annual swim up through the city every year, and it's like a couple of hundred swimmers. And they obviously were concerned about, you know, what's going to happen with the swim. And we just said, just let us know like a few days beforehand, and we can literally just tow them out of the way. So it's really nice that it's flexible and modular for situations like that.
What about the lifetime of the devices, the expected?
Yeah, so 10 years is the expected lifetime, and we're working on 20 years with the ongoing pilots that we have underway.
And given the levelized cost of energy you mentioned, it seems like payback on that would actually be fairly quick, but do you have that projected, and what do you think that is?
Yeah, we've ran that on a couple of like very specific use cases and projects that we've looked at. So it can be anywhere from 1 to 5 years. So 1 year if it's an ideal site, ideal resource, and up to 5 years.
I'm also curious, you mentioned that you were looking to use the funding for establishment of a base in the US and also to expand a bit in Europe, but then you talked about actually operating in, it sounded like islands in the South Pacific or Asia or something. So I'm a little curious, where are you actually going to go? You raised this money, got a $2 million raise. What's next? Where do you want to launch?
Yeah, so, and that's a good question, because we've been kind of asked about this before, about being all over the place, but we're actually not. For the first time, we have a very focused plan. So the 2 pilots, we want one in the EU and one in the US, and they will act as kind of bases basically. And those industry partners which we're talking to can then use those pilots as their case studies, you know, their sales showroom, and they have that international market reach. So the partners that we're speaking to are active in all of those markets. They're big players, and they're on the ground in the types of sites that we would hope to deploy these units. So yeah, the pilots in the States and the EU are for that stage that we're at now, you know, where it's easier to get units up and running there. But they're really just acting as kind of a springboard to that bigger market.
What will the actual business model look like once you do have those partners? So what will you guys earn from a kind of revenue perspective?
Yeah, so the pilots again are serving, and this is why they're important and why we're talking to lots of different players to make sure it's the right pilot. But that will actually serve as, again, a case study that makes sure that they're the right partners. And if they are, then we can enter into an IP license agreement. But we've learned from past experience in other businesses that going into a license agreement too early, can really damage your business if they're not the right partners.
Oh, no, I know that, but I'm saying, will you make like 7% of the project costs, or of what's your license going to roughly look like when these partners are selling your product essentially?
Yeah, we'll get, so there's a transactional fee for selling the units based on how many they sell, and then there'd be recurring revenue based on the power produced, which is annual recurring revenue. And then there's obviously parts as well. So that's another recurring revenue model. So the blades in particular, we put a lot of work into, and we can supply those blades. So replacement parts basically for the servicing, we would also get recurring revenue through them. But that's something that we're thrashing through those kind of commercial contracts with partners. But it's important to us, I suppose, that we do have a recurring revenue stream, that it's not just a one-off fee for the machine and then that's it. And for ourselves as well, like I mentioned, the remote monitoring. So we're working on building out an offering with the remote monitoring where we can actually optimize the devices and then offer that as a service as well, that we would have access to the data all the time. So we would actually know, maybe if the performance starts to drop, that we could flag it to them and say, you need to go check the machine, or maybe possibly even move it.
What are some immediate next steps that you guys need to accomplish in order to just finally select those 2 pilots? I mean, it sounds very exciting, but yeah, what's required to just get it started and going? Yeah,
we need to pick the right partners. That's about the size of it. So, and doing extensive due diligence on them, because that's really a really key next step. So, Matt, and I know it's a question you like why will you fail? And it really did. I struggled with that question because it's a tough question for a founder. But I think the main reason that we would fail is if we selected the wrong partners, because we're such a small team. And if it's not the right pilot project, it could really hurt us at this stage. So a big part of the raise right now is we're talking to lots of partners, but until you actually go out there, see their facilities, see their plans, meet them in person. And a lot of the ones that we're talking to are, they're all around the world. So part of the resources that we need is to do that.
Have you guys shortlisted what are some of the characteristics or some of the conditions required in this partnership in order for it to qualify as the right partnership?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've a very clear screening profile of so how we rank them in terms of attractiveness and accessibility. I don't know if any of you have seen that matrix, but it's really good and it works really well. So yeah, we have the experience as well, I suppose, of we've done a good few projects, we've had a few machines in the water, so we've learned from other experiences. So yeah, we have a very clear idea of what we're looking for and then how to prioritize them.
I don't want to jump too deep into it, but I guess just one last question about that. What's the most attractive characteristic or condition that you guys are finding or looking to find that you guys haven't quite yet found from these partners? What's the most attractive thing about them to you guys?
I don't know if it's the right answer for your question, but I suppose belief that they can do it fast enough. Because a lot of them are, same as anyone, they could be all talk, they're very excited by the opportunity, but are they actually going to move fast enough? Because we've had some discussions with much bigger utilities, but we know from advice, and we've talked to lots of advisors, they move really slow, and we're a really agile team of 7 that is used to moving really fast and getting things done fast. So I think that kind of the speed that they can do it, that if they say yeah we're going to do it and we're going to put all these resources to it, that they will actually do that. I don't know if that exactly answers your question. But...
No, that answers it perfectly, because I'm thinking about, I guess everyone here is really well connected in the space. I'm immediately thinking what would be a right partner for you to immediately just partner with and start distributing that energy. And I think there's quite a couple of startup companies, and I'm sure you guys, like you said, you already have your screening process and your pipeline, but a couple of companies that are really looking to expand on microgrids or looking to provide would be great examples for you. But no, that answers it perfectly. It immediately lets me know who. Thank you.
Great.
Can you not have more than 2 partners and just let them kind of there's a great scene in The Dark Knight, and the Joker's there, and he's basically killing the mafia guys, and there's 2 left, and he takes a pool stick and snaps it in half and says, "We got 1 spot. We're going to have tryouts." Well, let them go out there and keep what they kill.
I love that.
I don't know. I think again we're realistic. I think it's maybe why we've been as successful as we have. Like, we don't take on more than we can. So we're being very focused with the 2 pilots at the moment and trying to line that up. And if more, more are kind of coming to the table, but again, we're just, you have to stay focused, because otherwise you just get pulled all over the place and we don't have the time.
Okay, maybe I'm now wasting a bit of your time, because I would like to take a step in the future, assuming that you have found the perfect partner and you're ready to deploy. What would you assume to be the biggest challenge there to scale the solution, bring it on the market? Would it be more like on the permit side? Would it be like finding qualified people to make the installation?
The planning and permitting, definitely. So the people to do the installation, a lot of the partners that we're talking to, the reason that we're talking to them is because they already have those skills and those resources on the ground. So they're working in very complementary types of businesses. So the planning and permitting, definitely. So that's why the planning that we've just got today is pretty massive for us, because that's like the hardest planning application we could have gone for. Like, it's in the middle of a city centre, tons of recreational use happening on that stretch of water, all types of wildlife, all types of fish. And we purposely did that because we said, if we can get this through, then we can basically go anywhere, as a precedent. So like, that's something with competing devices would be quite restricted, and that they can't deal with wildlife or debris is a massive issue as well for these types of technologies. So yeah, we picked the hardest one. So we're hoping then that that's going to act as that'll pave the way, that's part as well of why we're also looking at the States, because they're the furthest along in terms of other deployments. Like, there has been a lot of deployments in the States, and they actually have a structure around the regulation. Whereas when we went through this, we had to go through the same process as if we were like an offshore megawatt tidal installation. So that's all I'll say.
And will your partners be the ones doing that, or will you guys have to do that?
Our partners, ideally. Yeah, because a lot of them, like, there's tons of them. The distributed space is really booming, and they do all of this. They're project hosts, so they do the planning, and they're already doing the planning for solar or for wind. And it has to be local people, because the regulations completely change depending on what region you're in. So it has to be local people handling that. Like, we couldn't do that. We wouldn't do it well anyway, for sure.
It's interesting. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. I wouldn't rely too much on others if you can, and see how you can have some aces up your sleeve just in case. Certainly some terms in case they don't deliver. Any other questions from the team or from the panelists, guys?
I'm not sure if this was already mentioned, so I'm sorry if it has. Any expected timeline on this, on the next step being executed, like with these partners?
Yeah, like as soon as possible. So that's one thing with what we like about our unit as well, because we do get a bit of pushback saying it's small, it's only a couple of kilowatts. But the other side of that is it's super quick to roll out, and time to impact is very short. So those bigger tidal machines, they have their place too, but they are really capital intensive and they take years to actually happen. And the other pushback that's happening with that is some tidal companies have actually been quite successful with the tech, but the market is not there yet. So we reckon, we educate the market with the smaller units and then build up to the tidal devices, again, with the revenue from the smaller units. So yeah, did I not answer your question again? Sorry, David.
No worries, no worries. I mean, it is a difficult question. I know it's dependent on when the fundraise happens and when you guys, but I was just wondering if you had like at least some sort of mid-August or something like that. Frame.
Yeah, no, so we have 2 pilots in Europe, like ready to go. So it's literally packaged, like we're giving it to a partner on a silver plate. So that's, that can happen in the next couple of months. And partners really like that because we're coming to them with a very definite offering. The one in the States is not quite so far along. We are talking to various partners, different pilot sites, but we really do need to get that presence in the US to make that happen a bit faster. So it'll be kind of next year for the States.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. And thanks so much for pitching, Rosine.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
And let me get all of our panelists in here. And now we transition into the last segment before hopefully we go grab some European dinner, if anyone else is getting hungry as well. And that is the startup of the night. So here is kind of where we vote. These are the 1, 2, 3 companies we kind of found to be the most awesome, the most interesting for us as investors, for us in terms of climate folks in general, and see if we can find some consensus on that. So you can just pick 1, 2 companies that you think would be most interesting for you, and then we'll see what happens from there. David, do you want to go first? No pressure.
I'm just kind of looking at my notes, trying to think of it. So do I have to choose 1 or 2? Sorry.
You could choose 2, then we can have more of a kind of clustering.
Yeah. So I think that was very, very interesting was the last one. Was G-Kinetic. I think is very amazing. Probably just because of just the last kind of startups that I've connected with and a couple of the investors. I just think that's a really amazing one. So I personally love it. And another one that I thought was really interesting, I'd love to learn a little bit more, but I think is tackling a very massive issue is Catalytico. Really enjoy those 2.
Awesome. Armin?
As an energy investor, I have to support this. So very interesting technology. I think like going more into distributed generation technology is something that is a trend that we can't deny. So this will increase further. So I'm glad to see new innovative technologies coming. But overall, I think like it is very difficult to say like which of those companies will have the biggest impact on the climate. So therefore, I'm still not really like able to assess, and I would have loved to explore that further, maybe as a follow-up.
But which one would you be most excited to follow up with?
I'm intrigued a bit by an application which I would have in my daily life. So the reusable cups would be something that would be interesting.
Okay. And Gabriel?
Yeah, I think similar to David, I would go with G-Kinetic as my first choice. Really interested, and the cost in particular, levelized cost relative to diesel, is really intriguing. I'd want to dig in a bit more on efficiency, figuring out how these really deploy. I do think permitting is going to be your biggest bugaboo. You seem to know that and know it well. And so I think that's, eyes wide open kind of goodness. And then I think the second one would be, well, I guess kind of 2 seconds. Catalytico, I'd be curious to know more about. I feel like I didn't get deep enough to understand really the technology in a way that felt comfortable to say that would be a first choice. And then Ethosa, really interested in the potential market there. I think there's a lot of opportunity, and so I'd be curious to dig in more there as well.
Awesome. And I would say from my side, I liked G-Kinetic as well. It's very interesting for all the reasons kind of outlined. I would also I would need to see that this isn't going to turn dolphins into sushi or something, because then you'll have a whole nother can of worms, so to speak. And then I was a big fan of CleanHub and what they're doing, because I've seen a ton of reusable, sustainable packaging companies that are all basically the same flavor of an app, which no one wants to download another app. And if these guys are able to have the fast, easy, efficient system that then becomes the backbone, well, there's a lot of food and coffee that get drank worldwide, and a lot of garbage that is contributed because of it. And to the you want to sell the picks and the shovels. You don't want to mine for gold, and these guys might find gold by selling the picks and shovels. So those would be my 2. And then it sounds like there's a bit of a consensus. So do you want to say G-Kinetic? You want to say CleanHub? Do you want to say kind of dual champion? We can kind of make up the rules as we go. There's no nobody's watching, so to speak. Thoughts?
I'd go with G-Kinetic.
Yeah, I would personally go with it. I mean, I love a lot of these ventures have, I think, amazing potential. I just kind of listed like my first immediate 2 that I think had immediate and biggest, but in terms of just like model and how immediate and well aware pitch wise and like what's needed, G-Kinetic just sounded like it was the closest one, and I'd feel the most comfortable having another meeting to start talking a bit more details.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
We'll give them the edge then. So G-Kinetic, congrats.
Thank you. so much.
It's
That's
awesome
really
what all of
appreciated.
you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Every company here, it takes guts to pitch, it takes guts to be a founder, and you're all doing big things. And you better prove us all wrong in terms of creating massive potential, because that's the most gratifying thing as a startup, is when an investor tells you no, and then you come back and say, yeah, I told you. So go do that. And now, folks, where's the best place for people to find you and tell you you were wrong, or reach out? David, do you want to share more?
Definitely. I can definitely drop my email. That's the fastest thing I'd probably respond to. Reach out on LinkedIn. I have a Twitter that I need to be a little bit more active on, but those are going to be my top two. I'll make sure and drop them in the chat. Would love to meet with everyone here because, you know, I definitely believe, and I'm also wishing that all of you prove me wrong in terms of my choice, because I would love everyone here to be a winner, and actually all the impact that you guys are looking to create actually be very fruitful, and we all take advantage of that.
Amen to that. Armin?
LinkedIn, the best place for me to connect, but I'm also sharing my email in the chat. And yeah, I wish every company in this meeting, let's call success. I think like we need much more and we need it faster. So all the best to all of you.
Yeah, I'll just pile on that and say, yeah, same here. The world needs a lot of solutions, of which you're all touching. So keep it up. Drop my info in the chat already, and thanks for being here.
And folks, you all know where to find me. It's forward.vc. If you're looking to pitch on an upcoming session of the Startup Tank, we do this every 2 weeks on Mondays. It's just thestartuptank.com. And if you're looking for a partner in crime to help you scale your company, get some serious clients, traction, pilots, and raise a bigger round, forward.vc. You can find out more about our partner in crime, Climate Accelerator. This has all been brought to you by Valbon by Carta, the solution that we love for setting up SPVs. So after we take companies through our accelerator, our 12-week program, trying to essentially use our network and that of our 120 plus mentors to growth hack and to network hack their way into some real big corporates and some real big traction, we help them do a real round afterwards, because we're just a little guy. We get the big guys at the table, we put in some money with an SPV, and we do that using Valbon by Carta. For more information and to set up your SPV, and you should get a bit of a discount if you tell them you came from the Startup Tank, forward.vc/Carta. That's CARTA. And they also have a lot of services for companies as well. So if you have ESOPs, employee management, kind of everything that you need to do to run or operate in the venture world, Carta's got your back. Cap table management, et cetera, forward.vc/Carta, CARTA. And if you're interested in investment and you're a climate company, we've published our database. There's 950 plus funds, incubators, accelerators, and CVCs, searchable, filterable by stage, sector, geography, and check size. So if you want to find your ideal investor, you could do that, and do that now at forward.vc, the number forward.vc/VC database. We've got a Slack community on there of 850 or so climate techies, founders, etc. You can hop in there as well. It's a great place to network and meet other folks. And now I'm going to let everybody go, because this has been a nice long session. We've all got work to do, and I will talk to you guys again soon. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. By the way, don't forget. I will have a great one, guys. Cheers.